So today I'm going to talk about something new to those that already know prpl. But before we start talking about this new thing, let's at first have a short look at some history. So if I ask you what was the most important thing for the prpl operators in 2023 and before, the answer is very clear. We had to develop our software stack with a feature set enabling us to deploy, to have our first deployments. And as you heard a few moments ago, this is where we are right now. So that was where we heavily involved, and this is where we heavily invested, and this is how we make those deployments possible. Now, there is something new, because once you have those deployments, there are new needs that appear. Actually, we need to support those deployments with a role of maintenance. This is what we added in 2025. And of course, this is not something that is just for this year, in the same way as we'll continue developing our roadmap to have new types of hardware platforms, new software and hardware features, etc. We will also continue in the future by providing this role of the maintenance. But of course, it will not be all. There will be new things that we'll have to add in the future. So once again, all that is about investing more money. So we need to provide more support for the ecosystem with all certification programs. We already started doing this work, but there is much more that we need to do to support the chipset vendors and OEMs, but also to provide better support for application developers with improved application SDK, with new high-level APIs that those applications leverage, and so on. So this is how we see our role in the future. So once again, this is where we have already invested and where we will invest in the future. So now let's go back to what we introduced this year. So the maintenance role, actually it covers several different activities. So I will describe them very shortly. The first and the most obvious one is, of course, everything that relates to the management of defects. The goal is very clear. Given different deployment projects that we have, we need to have a way not only to support those projects, but also make sure that the platform remains in its canonical form, let's call it in this way, that the contributions, the fixes, etc., still respect prpl standards. So we put in place a process with tracking of all the issues, and of course then fixing those that are prioritized according to the importance. So this is really key. There is no future to any software stack if there is no maintenance. So we all agree on that. Then the second aspect relates to the software security. As you know, any software has always some security vulnerabilities. And the idea here is, of course, to provide a support for this particular aspect. So this is not only about providing a framework for reporting security-related issues and to fix them, but this is also about the idea that some of those things needs to be done in a way that guarantee confidentiality. some security issues may be so harmful, so impacting for business that they need to be not only fixed, but also processed in a very confident way. So that's another aspect that we'll provide. The third thing that is a little bit similar to the previous one, this is about the IPR compliance. So in 2024, our goal is a little bit reduced. So we want to ensure that everything that we develop has no known IPR issues, and that all code we develop is properly addressed regarding the IPR aspects. But we'll also work on the tools that would enable us to actively scan this type of issues. This is something that we'll have to invest, that there is nothing for free, at least nothing really valuable that is available for free. So this is what we want to achieve this year, is also to identify what is the right tool that we need to have. And when I said that this is a little bit similar to the way we deal with the security vulnerabilities, this is because even in this case, sometimes an IPR issue that is discovered may require to be addressed with a guarantee of confidentiality. So you can see that there are some similarities between the two. So the same framework will be applied, and of course, whether it's a security issue or an IPR issue, those will be addressed in a similar way as the top priority defects are, but with this additional layer of confidentiality. Then, starting this year, as we have those deployments that are announced, there are many more projects that are also ongoing. We are starting to have more and more contributions. And contribution is not just that somebody brings something and something happens by a miracle. We need more resources, involvement in the process of accepting those contributions, whether they are about bug fixing or extensions, etc. We must not only be able to integrate them, but before that, we need to assess whether those contributions respect the prpl standards. So we need to have a very clearly defined contribution guidelines, and then every time there is a contribution, we need to assess whether those guidelines are respected or not, and if this is the case, to integrate them into the prpl stack. And one more thing here, and that's very important also, we also need to deal with that by looking at our roadmap. Depending on the size, importance, and the feature itself, it's not necessarily very neutral the moment when we will make it available. So those things need to be planned with the right prpl release, etc. So we really expect a lot from third-party contributions. This is really something that we want to support, but we really want to make sure that this support will be delivered, and it will be done according to prpl standards. And the final aspect of what we call the maintenance role, this is improvements in our continuous integration. So what is new in this area is we defined a process that is based on having a dedicated developers branch, which we call the main branch. And this is where we do nightly builds. This is new. This is still something that we are working on it and improving, but that's very important, and it also requires more resources. So that's the general ideas regarding of what are the elements composing this maintenance role in 2024. Now, having said that, the question is, what is the scope of all those things? Because there must be some limits, right? We are not able to do that for any platform on the planet, etc. So in order to make it manageable, we have to delimit the scope of the maintenance role. So the way it's delimited is quite simple to understand. So there are two aspects. One is about hardware, so the platform, and another one is about the software. So regarding the hardware, so before I explain that, for those that are maybe not aware of the nomenclature that we use at prpl, we define 3 types of prpl platforms. So the first one that was mentioned today several times is what we call the fast-track platforms. Those platforms are used by the prpl Foundation and the community for the development of the roadmap. This is where all new features arrive. This is where they are developed. So this is where the features are available immediately once they are developed, because this is the environment of development. So those are the fast-track platforms. The name explains why it's itself. Then we have what we call regular platforms. And there is a difference. The difference is the following. The regular platforms are integrated into the prpl CI, but the roadmap is actually not developed on those platforms. So once a feature is implemented, it's implemented on the fast-track platforms, provided to the main branch, and it's compiled by the CI and run, if possible, on the regular platforms. So prpl ensures that every new feature is compiled to the regular platform and then executed on the regular platform with tests executed on this regular platform. And then, if an issue happens, this is not the foundation that provides the fixes or addresses the issues. This is the promoter of the regular platform that does this job. So for the fast-track platforms, the entire job is done by prpl. For the regular ones, we do only the basics. We compile, we test, and provide automatically the report to the promoter. And the promoter needs to fix the issue. This is usually a very good step before becoming a fast-track platforms. And then there are external platforms. So those are prpl platforms that have prpl that are certified as platform, but they are not at all integrated into the prpl CIs. So this is a 3-stage way of building different platforms and making those things scalable. So why it's important to talk about those types of platforms? Because regarding the maintenance role, we will do that only for fast-track reference platforms, not any other platform at all. So those that are currently the fast-track platforms, this is where we fix the issues. Then it's also possible that we define something that we call a maintenance platform that is a current or former fast-track platform with a prpl version that is still supported by the foundation, but is not the latest one. So this is, if there is a very important version that we believe that it still needs to be supported, this is how we do, okay? So the platforms are selected. They are only either current or sometimes former fast-track platforms. Going to the software, we support always the latest official prpl release. That's by default. Then we may decide, as I just mentioned, that we want also to support an older version, but it requires a special decision, so this is not at all by default. But once again, it's only if this version is supported on a current or former fast-track platform. There's no other way around. So as you can see, everything that we do regarding the role of the maintainer here is limited to fast-track platforms. But what about the regular platforms here? So this is, as I already said, for new features. It's the same for defects management. This is the responsibility of the promoter of the regular platform. However, it takes benefits of all the fixes that we already provide on the fast-track platforms. So of course, there may be something specific to a regular platform, but at least it takes benefits of everything that we fix on the fast-track platforms. So this is how it works, how it's delimited to make it scalable. Don't be afraid, I will not deep dive into this drawing. It's just to say that, of course, what we did for the maintainer role has an impact on the way we manage prpl releases. So I will not explain what all those things really mean. This is for those that really like to discuss about those topics. But here are just a few important things that I need to mention. So what we decided, and this is at least right now at the beginning of the prpl story, that we'll have 2 major and 2 minor prpl releases per year. The major releases are those that contain new features. Okay? So this is what is done thanks to the roadmap. But the minor releases, they only bring bug fixes. There is no new features on minor releases. So what is important here is that the minor releases are always derived from a major one. So by default, we take the latest major version, and all the bug fixes that we did, at some point in time, we release this as a minor release containing a set of bug fixes. One important additional information, those bug fixes are also available as patches. So anybody interested not necessarily in the minor release with all the patches can just pick and choose the patches that he's interested in. So this is just to put it simple. I'm not entering into those details, but actually for those that are interested, this slide brings quite a lot of information about the way those things are managed. So that was just a very high-level overview of this maintenance role that we introduced this year and that we invested in. For those that are really interested to deep dive into this topic, tomorrow, during the technical day of the prpl Summit, we have a dedicated session for that at 11:30. So please come and you will learn much more things. So thank you very much. I hope you understand what is this new thing that prpl brought this year. Thank you.